it's great. And the other thing is, I thought, oh God, when they do the movie, are they going to use a typical American director, or somebody who's been doing all these flash videos, and who's going to get that nod? As an outside, as a non-American, well, you lived here for a while, so you had some American sensibilities. But looking from the outside in, okay, so it didn't impact your, your whole psychic. Coming from
I have
foreign
to
lands.
say it did, actually.
Did it?
I was psychically damaged from a young age.
Oh, you were?
From America, thank you.
Oh, you were? Okay. Well, then that helped you, John.
No,
Did you have a bad Disneyland experience?
No, I actually was only here for 4 years, very young age, but it was in the 60s, and at the end of the 60s, when everything really kicked off.
Right.
So I remember the excitement and the drama of all that period. But anyway, sorry, I'm done.
Well, I guess the thing is like, oftentimes the studios, and they think, oh, well, why should we give it to you? How much money did the proposition make? And, they do all of that stuff. Stack the odds against you, and the marketing guys.
Yeah.
But,
who have unfortunately taken over the business now. But.
Yes, and that's a whole nother discussion. We had Sally Potter on when she just did a new movie, Grace, and you know what she's been up against with that. So
no, it's
that's another conversation privately.
Yeah, but it's I've been through it with seeing it through the music business anyway. That's what's going on there and how they're trying to adjust and still. So I knew it was coming for the film business.
Are we getting to a point now? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Make your point.
Oh, no. I was just going to say that in terms of answering that, the outside thing. Luckily, the studio said no to this material. That's how Nick Wexler secured it for me.
Really.
And luckily, he was on board. He's an adventurous producer in that sense. And we even got Joe Penhall, who is an Aussie that's a playwright in Britain, to adapt it. So he's an outsider. Yeah. The production designer, Chris Kennedy, is an Aussie that's done all my films. The wardrobe, again, did The Proposition. Right. She's an Aussie, Margot Wilson. And then we had Cody from Australia, and we had Javier.
Guy Pearce.
Yeah, and Guy Pearce. Yep. But then we also had key also to all of this was Javier Aguirre-Robe, who's a Spanish. This was his first American film.
Really?
So there were a lot of outside influences, and even Vigo was, grew up in Argentina and was speaking Spanish with Javier all through the shoot. And but I think we were creating an America that had a strangeness and an outsider's perspective anyway. So it all felt. It kind of fit together in that sense.
It makes it work, yeah. I'm very pleased for you and your crew, your tribe, as would be.
Thank you.
Do you think the web is going to liberate the film business, or is it, are we there, this convergence? People now, you talk to filmmakers, they're like, God, they're lucky if somebody will rent the movie off of iTunes and watch it on their flat screen, because the big screens are being gobbled up by the CGI spectacle movies.
Yeah, I mean, and there is my worry, because I've noticed this already in making both in recent times, the use of wide shots. I love that cinematic scope. So the use of wide shots is harder and harder to get away with. And if you look at films, and the bigger the film, the more close-ups and rapid cutting. And that's to do with this scaling down and technology. So I think there's a lot of negative influences, but then there's positive influence as well. The fact that there's a rebirth in independent cinema, because everyone's now at Cassavetes. I mean, the difference is there was only one Cassavetes back then. And or very few, and then there's very few relatively. But then you have the problem of how do you get, I mean, Toronto Film Festival had 4,000 submissions.
Lots of digital noise.
And so how do you get through on the web with your film? Because there's going to be a great divide as well between those huge franchise spectacle cinema things,
Right.
and IMAX and 3D, and that won't go away. You know, that's always there. I worry about actually the films that I like to make, where they're cinematic and they're dramas, and they're genre films, but they're going to be pushed to either to much lower budget and to digital. And I don't know whether you can. Well, right now, I know for a fact you can't make those films right now,
Right.
and for at least a year or two. That's a worry.
Right, sure.
It's pretty distressing to have Nick Cave write a better script than The Proposition, have a phenomenal cast put together of just with
A-list actors.
yeah, including people like Ryan Gosling and Shia LaBeouf and Paul Dano, and on it goes. And these and it's a genre picture, and it's got energy, and it's more accessible than any film I've done before. It's a gangster genre, and there is zero chance of making it.
Distribution guys just like,
No one will touch it
No one,
now because we're in the first reactive overreaction, fear. Actually, what the road's all about, fear. The initial response is you close off possibilities, you don't take risks. It's understandable, but it's a shame the movie business hasn't looked at what happened to the record business.
There will be very soon, though.
Well, it's inescapable.
It's
happening right now.
Big plotting dinosaurs are becoming extinct.
So it'll be interesting.
But the
to see
pendulum
what
will always
happens.
swing back. Don't you feel that?
Well, I think in 18 months' time I'll have another shot, and
it's a shame though. You just can't go into your next project given
No,
the forward thrust you have with this.
No, I think I'd like to. There's there's a lot of different sorts of films I'd like to make, and I hope I don't get pigeonholed. But it is the toughest time ever, for a lot of filmmakers out there, and the studios have. It's distressing, but they're in trouble, and they're making some majorly bad business decisions and just kind of overreacting.
Right. Do you see that much the same issues in Great Britain and Australia?
Well, actually, because they've been up against, they've been struggling. They haven't. It's actually the studio system and the Hollywood system that's in the most trouble.
Right. And
actually, in Europe and Australia, there's that's got more legs now because they're used to making things for cheaper.
They don't have the union issues either.
Yeah, and
which
they
I'm
don't
sure
have
just scale.
Yeah, the unions have to change. The way of the excess of Hollywood, the wastage of money. You can't make films the way they've been making them.
Right.
The whole model has to change.
Right. I heard just like even using plastic bottles, trying to be green. Where everyone has to fill their own water bottles. God forbid. There are issues with that, with sets and stuff, and just. The convenience factor of things with filmmaking on that scale.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of wastage, and this is where I think people, and I have to say though, American independent filmmakers have the greatest odds, against them, and are amazing at what they do because, in England and Australia and Europe, you have. Film is protected culturally.
Right.
It's to do with. I mean, I love the French because they've cultivated. They realize, and actually, this is the thing about them is they're on a business level very successful.
Right.
Because they say, well, it isn't just about the dollars and cents.
Right.
It's culture as well. Films are part of culture, and we respect culture, and we're going to protect culture. So they're actually now taking over Hollywood. At the moment, you have more chance of getting the French to finance your film than any of these studios. So,
well, that's optimistic because we want it. God forbid you can't make, like you said, the big spectacle, the David Lean, Lawrence of Arabia's of the world.
Yeah.
You know, The Proposition, your movies, The Road. Anyway, I think we've got a very good meaty interview here, John.
Good.
Thanks, John.
Have a good 2 years.
All right. See you soon. John Hillcoat,
Thank
Dusty
you.
Wright. We'll see you soon. Thank you.